What's up YouTube? Capital G here, giving you guys my top 5 competitive meta decks for the July 15th, 2019 format. Obviously, yesterday we had a colossal Forbidden and Limited list, one of the biggest ones in history that definitely shook up the competitive landscape and changed a lot of things in the game. We had a lot of cards come back, a lot of interesting and exciting hits, and I kind of feel like when you combine that with all the products that we're going to be getting, whether it be the Fist of the Gadgets booster set, Rocket Revolt, the new structure deck, Rising Rampage at the end of the month, plus a lot of the key link monsters from the Battles of Legends, I feel like we're going to have so many different decks and archetypes kind of vying for the throne of the best competitive Yu-Gi-Oh deck, and these are going to be my top 5 picks. I'm going to start my list off with Altergeist. This is a deck that I think I overreacted to on my my FNL list breakdown. I thought Altergeist got a huge hit that would not make them a meta deck anymore, but I really think that stories of Altergeist's demise have been greatly exaggerated, mainly by me. When I look at some of the cons for Altergeist, I think they're quite evident. The fact is, with Multi-Faker at 1, the deck loses significant consistency, and just opening with Multi-Faker is not going to be something that's very reliable. A lot of those incredibly powerful plays that Altergeist used to have, like the turn 0 impermanence into summoning Multi-Faker, which got you double disruption against your opponent turn 0, or even the turn 1 evenly match into Multi-Faker, those are just not really going to happen anymore, and you're not just going to open with Multi-Faker like very often. But I do think that Altergeist did get some significant replacements for Multi-Faker. Number 1, Solemn Judgment at 3 is a godsend for this archetype. We all know Altergeist live and die by their trap cards, and Solemn Judgment is one of the most powerful trap cards in the entire game, especially in games 2 and 3 when your opponent is siding in those Denkos and Twin Twisters and evenly matches and red reboots. Solemn Judgment stops every single one of those cards, so that is something that Altergeist can use to defend themselves and even potentially summon something like Multi-Faker off the resolution of Solemn Judgment. Also, even though Multi-Faker is at 1, Sangan plus Salamangreat Almirage is a great replacement. They did this in the OCG. You will see a lot of Altergeist players normal summoning their copies of Sangan, going straight into Almirage and then just searching Multi-Faker if they already have the Altergeist monsters that they want, because it does search every Altergeist monster, well, all the relevant ones not named Marionetta. You can even search hand traps. You can search Ash Blossom or something like Ghost Ogre, cards that can be used for disruption during your opponent's turn. I really feel like with these two inclusions, Altergeists are pretty much as good as they were before. They might even be a little tad better, because I just think that Solemn Judgment is going to make that big of a difference. My number 4 deck is Sky Striker, a deck that I think will still see a good amount of play. I feel like most of the Sky Striker players who were playing the deck before the FNL list went into effect are probably going to keep playing the deck. Obviously, losing multi-roll to limited status sucks, much like Multi-Faker. With Altergeist, I feel like you're just not going to open with multi-roll anymore, or at least it's just going to be very seldom that you see the card in your opening hand. A well-timed Cosmic Cyclone, or maybe even something like Ghost Ogre, might take away your ability to play the card for the entire duel, and your grind game probably is going to go out the window. Also, Terraforming to 1, that definitely hurts, because it's just a little less likely that you're going to get to that area 0 in your first turn. However, Mystic Mine at 3 definitely is something that helps the deck. In fact, just having multiples of Mystic Mine means that Sky Striker going second against these combo decks, you have a way to completely slow the game down. Also, this is one of the decks that can really take advantage of Mine, because you can just make Hayate, you can just poke your opponent down 1500 every single turn. It definitely adds up. Also, you do still have the Utopia double cheese, and it's particularly easy to do while you have Mystic Mine on the field, because your opponent more than likely is not going to be able to respond with any monster effects. So I still feel like Sky Striker should have a good grind game if they can resolve multi-roll, but still having the ability to slow the game down with Mine and cheese your opponent with Utopia double. Those are still respectable aspects of the deck. At the number 3 spot, I've got Pendulums. I'll leave it at that, because obviously the builds can vary. I think that Pendulums, when you're going second, it's still really really sucks. You're not playing any hand traps in your main deck, which means if you lose the die roll, whatever your opponent does, no matter how hard they pop off, you basically have to sit there and take it, and you just have to hope you can play through it, which sometimes obviously can be very difficult. I think the deck still lives and dies by Electromite, and if Electromite dies to like a random Ghost Ogre or to some type of effect negation, Solemn Strike, cards like that, you can be in a very, very bad position. I also think that your turn one plays can be incredibly mediocre if you don't have access to Dark Worm. While that might be unlikely because they run so many cards to facilitate Dark Worm, whether it be Dragon's Ravine, Dragon's Shrine, Foolish Burial, if it does happen, you're not going to have very strong plays. Pendulums do have some insane turn one boards because they still have access to the Guard Dragon plays, which, you know, Guard Dragons are absolutely fantastic. Also, their negation boards are, to my knowledge, not very susceptible to super polymerization because your main negators, things like Vortex Dragon and Don Dragster, are not actually dark attributes. So that obviously is something that you get that a lot of other decks don't get when they go for things like Hot Red Dragon, Archfiend Abyss. Very high ceiling with the Pendulum deck, but it can be a very volatile deck and definitely struggle going second. Number two is the deck that I probably have the highest chance of being completely wrong on, and that is Rockets. I feel very confident that this will be the deck that a lot of the Salamangreat players jump ship to because, much like Salamangreats, most of what you need is going to be in the structure deck. Also, it's a fairly easy deck to learn how to play. You have a monster, well, a Link 1 that's very similar to Banelink, searches your field spell, and it has been doing well on the OCG circuit. I feel like this deck's biggest con is it is incredibly reliant on getting to Tracer early because Tracer facilitates a lot of your best turn one plays and boards. You need Tracer because Tracer can get rid of another card, and a lot of times you don't even have to really get rid of a card, especially if you chain it to something like Quick Launch or Upstart Goblin. But Tracer summons another rocket monster from your deck. The pros are many for Rockets. Number one, you get access to all the Guard Dragon plays, which we know are excellent and will more than likely define this format. Number two, you can take full advantage of Tempest, the new Dragon Ruler that got unbanned, especially with Rocket Synchron being a level 1 tuner. There is natural synergy. You can just summon it from your deck with LP, have Rocket Synchron, you know, tune straight into like a Boiled Savage Dragon, instant negation. Also, Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon didn't get banned, and you got Tempest, so you have so many awesome dragons to kind of work with. Revolve Boot Sector, the field spell, is also a great play facilitator, but it's also an excellent recovery card for the archetype, and you get the card for free during your natural combo. Just have any rocket monster on the field, go for your Link 1, you get the card for free. My honorable mention is going to be Guru Control, and finally to my number one, Crusader Guard Dragon. I don't want to specify like Thunder Dragon here or say Danger Thunder Dragon because I feel like the Thunder Dragon cards are really not going to be necessary. I feel like when you look at Danger Thunder Dragons, the Thunder Dragon part has been a little bit of the weaker side, and really all they kind of facilitate is basically you just dropping Colossus. But if you can drop a lot of negations, sometimes the Colossus is honestly unnecessary unless you're playing against like Sky Striker and they have to get to something like Engage. I feel like the biggest con of the Crusader Guard Dragon deck is obviously the fact that White and Black Dragon went to 1, and that definitely hurts a lot because you're just really not going to be opening with those things. But really, you still have enough good danger cards to work with, and I feel like this is going to be a deck that is incredibly strong going first and second because you still have board breakers like Chaos Dragon Levineer, you have Crusader Reclusia, which is awesome for just going second. You summon it and it's basically like a baby scrap dragon that can pop your opponent's like key card. It can pop one of their disruptions, and really the reason that I put this deck in the number one slot is because I believe in evolution. I think that a lot of the best players in the world, Jesse Cotton, Andre Torres, King Taboo, Aaron Furman, I feel like these are the decks that they are going to be playing, and we've seen Jesse Cotton constantly evolve Thunder Dragons from, you know, one build to another, to another, to another. I feel like there will be more hidden tech that people don't expect, whether it be, you know, going back to things like Defrag Dragon and other cards. There's so many good dragons, so many good light and dark monsters. I feel like it's inevitable that they will find good cards to simply replace the ones that they have lost. But that is my list. I want to know if you guys agree with it. Did you like it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Whatever you guys